Hey guys, it is Christina here. A couple of weeks ago, I shared that I just shared on my Facebook page here that I was making smoothies for my kids, and I was using some milk kefir to make those smoothies. And one of the people commented, like I just showed the photo of the smoothie and so on, and they commented that they had never heard of milk kefir and they didn't know anything about it, and that they would love to know a little bit more about it. So I thought, what perfect opportunity to do that than right now when I am about to strain my own milk kefir. So for me, milk kefir is the king of kings when it comes to fermentation, but also when it comes to probiotics. And as a naturopath, people will ask me all the time, Christina, what probiotic should I be taking? And I am a whole foods girl. Like, if we can do it through food, that's my favorite way of doing it. Now, there are some people that need to go very, very micro and might need to be going even homeopathically when it comes to probiotics. But for the general population, assuming that they're all healthy and well, milk kefir is my favorite way to do that. Now, milk kefir is a fermented beverage. And essentially, and I'm going to show you my grains, essentially what I have in here is, they're called grains, but they're actually not a wheat or any of those types of things that we would normally associate with grains. They're actually like little mushroomy type cauliflowers. And essentially, they're a symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast that live together. Now, when it comes to milk kefir versus a probiotic, some of the best probiotics that we can get have a maximum of 18 strains in there. And so it is somewhat limited in the different types of strains that we can get in there. But with milk kefir, we can actually get up to around 100, sometimes even more, depending on the environment that it's grown in, all of that sort of stuff. It can be anywhere between like 80 and 100 plus different strains of bacteria that can live in here. And of course, our microbiome thrives on having a multitude and a range of different bacteria living within our system. So while milk kefir is the king of kings for me, it's my favorite. I use it for so many things in my household. I don't think you should just stick to one thing. I think you should have, kombucha, sauerkraut, water kefir, all of those sorts of things, which I have going at the moment as well. But today we're going to talk about milk kefir because it is such a powerful probiotic. I use it on so many things. I've used it with my brand new babies and I've used it with my elderly relatives. It is all round goodness. But again, please remember, if you have some probiotic issues, if you have histamine issues, you should always check in with your practitioner before you start something like this, because it can cause a lot of detoxing, especially if you are not used to consuming it. So for example, if you went and got some milk kefir and you suddenly got the runs, the milk kefir would be causing that because it would be killing off a lot of those pathogenic bacteria and parasites that can be living in the digestive system. So this is my favorite way to do it. The first thing I want to do is I want to show you, for those people who are new to milk kefir, you can see that there is some whey cracks in there. If I move it around, what we're seeing here is actually the curds and the whey of the milk kefir. All of that will come back together once I strain it, but this is exactly where you want it to be. You want to start seeing some separation before you actually start to you know it's ready and you're ready to start using it and make it into all sorts of other yummy stuff. I'm going to use this to make it a smoothie. I'm not going to do that on camera because it's actually going to be for my kids' dinner, to go along with their dinner and help improve their meal. But I will strain it so that you know what it looks like and what I'm looking at. So if you have any questions about milk kefir while I'm on, ask them because I'm happy to answer them. But I'm going to turn my camera right down so you can see me straining this in the bowl. Okay, so here's my bowl. Let me see. Yep. Okay, first thing I'll do is open it, and you might not have heard that, but it hissed at me. So just got to figure out where my camera is. I've put it on the opposite side to where I normally do. So you can see the whitish liquid there is the whey, the firmer stuff. This is the curds. And so, curds and whey. Little Miss Muffet nursery rhyme was created for a reason, for the curds and whey. So we're just going to separate this, because what I want to get out is not the curds and whey. I want to get out my kefir grains so that I can use them again. And hello to all those people that are jumping on. There's quite a few of you that have come on. Say hi, let me know you're here. So instead of making a milkshake in my house, this is kind of our version of a milkshake. So what I'm doing now is I'm actually just stirring this around, allowing the whey and the curds to move through the holes, and what will stay in there will actually be my grains. My grains will remain inside the strainer, ready for me to make more milk kefir with. And if you look after your kefir grains, you never have to replace them. But as any fermenter knows, life happens and occasionally they die, and you need to hit your friends up for some of their milk kefir grains. Vicky's saying, hey Christine, I still struggle with the thought of having milk that's fizzy. Well, and that's why we put it into a smoothie, because like you can barely notice it when it's in a smoothie. It's a bit more like drinking yogurt at that point. But I use this for all sorts of things. I use it for rashes, I use it for thrush, I use it for healing cats, wounds, all the things. If you are somebody that has messaged me about something going wrong in your life, my first response is generally, have you used some kefir on it? Give kefir a try. So Ben and I are avoiding dairy at the moment, so we aren't having this yet. After we finish our cleanse, this will be the basis of what we make our morning smoothie on. Okay, what we're seeing there is those lumps, those are the grains. So I'm nearly all done, and I'll be able to show you a grain. And for me, I think this is one of the most empowering things to actually be able to make in your own home. There's heaps of things that I think you should definitely make, but this one is one of my favorites to make in my own home. It's simple, it's easy, and you can make so much stuff with it. Like, I can then go and strain this milk kefir and turn that into cheese. I could turn it into cream cheese. I could turn it into a cheesecake. Yeah, could definitely feed it to the chickens. But here we go. These are the grains. So they look like little cauliflowers. If I was to wash them, they would look even more like cauliflowers. But these are the things that have got all of the beautiful probiotics in them. So they're living cultures. These are living organisms that are in my bowl here or in my spoon. And I feed them like I would feed my pets, and they produce beautiful, nourishing food back for me, my milk kefir. And so, yeah, that's pretty much simply that. The only thing I have left to do is to complete the cycle is put my grains back into their jar and then top this up with milk. And then once I top this jar up with milk, it can start that process again. And 24 to 48 hours, I'm gonna have another batch of milk kefir that's ready to go. Melissa was saying, question, I was told metallic kills the grains. Have you had any trouble? No, and this is the thing that I love. I'm gonna point you back up. One of the things that I find super interesting is that there's a whole bunch of wives' tales around a lot of these sorts of things. And it's really important that we ask why that wives' tale was there to begin with. It was there because when the time that they were starting to make milk kefir and they were using metallic, what they were actually using was aluminium. And they were using copper and all sorts of other metals, whereas stainless steel is not as much of a problem, and it's not in contact with my grains for a very long time. And so it's really just there for a short period of time. They're not going to be absorbing any of the metals from it, whereas if I was using aluminium, if I was using copper, it would start to draw those coppers and the aluminium into itself, and then of course my milk kefir would be contaminated with those heavy metals. And of course we don't want that. We're trying to avoid as much heavy metals in our body as possible, except iron. And so from that point of view, I think it's always wise to go back and ask, why was that created in the first place? Was there some other things around the time that were happening when that was created, to then sort of get that picture of, is that relevant for today? And so back then it was definitely relevant at the time because of the metals that they were using. It's not so relevant to us now because most of us have stainless steel utensils, and we're not necessarily using copper or aluminium anymore. But if your bowl or your container that you were making it in was copper or aluminium or stainless steel, I would be avoiding those. I would be using glass for it. Lisa's saying our dogs love it too. Our cat, this is the thing, is that our cat loved it. She's no longer with us, but she loved it. She would only have it she would only have it when she actually needed it, when her body needed to have some. Otherwise, she wouldn't actually have it. She would just leave it. And so I always find that super interesting too with the animals, you know, only taking things when they need them. And we probably should get back to that as well, you know, learning our instincts and going with that prompting of having stuff when we actually feel we need it. So there you go. That's my milk kefir. This is going to be ready for the smoothie that I'm going to make for my kids tonight. Jennifer's saying my 3-year-old eats the grains. Caught Darren eating them a couple of nights ago too. That's so interesting. I've never eaten the grains. I do know people who do. I've never had enough to do that with though, because of course I'm selling them. So they usually end up going to new homes, or I give them to my chickens because I want them to have a healthy gut as well. Yeah, so there's never been enough for us to eat. But I do know people who turn them into things like ice cream and all sorts of other yummy treats. And super healthy for you too, so there we go. That's milk kefir. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want to learn more about how to make milk kefir and how to make all sorts of other fermented foods, you're welcome to join Fermentation School. It's currently at its self-paced learning, so you can just go through all the modules and learn that way. But we'll be opening it up again this year to do another live round. So if you jump in now, you'll get it at the price that it currently is. When we do our next live round, the price will go up, of course. So you're welcome to do that. I'll put the link in the comments for you. But I hope you guys are having the best day ever, and I'm about to get lunch ready for my kids, which is why they're kind of at the door going, yeah, is there food cooking? What are we eating? All of the things. So today is one of the very few days that I actually get lunch on before 2 o'clock. So I'm gonna get that done for them so they don't come in here and barge in anymore. How much do you charge for grains? It's usually $30 plus $10 postage for my grains. Yeah. All right, bye for now. Have an amazing day, and I will catch you next time. Bye for now.